What's your favorite scary movie?
What's the Boogeyman?
You hang up on me again, I'll gut you like a fish, understand?
It's showtime.
Hello, guys, and welcome to You Can't Kill the Boogeyman podcast. I'm your host, Robby.
And I'm Sammy.
And today, on this episode, we are talking about the last Scream, the requel, Scream 5.
Yes.
But before we get into that, we are going to banter because we have some exciting news for you Scream fans and horror fans and everything like that.
Yes.
So, this Wednesday, the 7th, or... yeah, it's like the 5th, October 5th.
Yeah.
We are going to be interviewing Lenora Scalfo. She was the cheerleader in the first Scream movie, the 1996.
Yes.
We are going to be interviewing her for our show, our podcast show.
Yes, very excited.
She's going to be our first guest.
Woohoo!
So, very excited to have her. If you guys don't know who we're talking about, she's the cheerleader. Sydney was in the bathroom. It's right before she gets attacked.
Yes.
But her and her friends are talking about homicide instead of murder and how homicide is in instead of suicide. Definitely go check that out. But we're super excited to have her on the show.
For sure.
She's our first guest on this podcast show.
Yes.
So, also, we are having a call-in number that we will have. It's not available at this recording, but you can check out our social media. And if you want to call to request a movie for us to check out, just to say, hey, let us know how the show is, you can call. You can be able to check out our Boogeyman, You Can't Kill the Boogeyman podcast on Instagram or Limitless Broadcasting on Instagram for the number. You guys can call in and chat with us. And if you want to be a guest on the show, that's an easier way to
get a hold of us.
Yeah. So that is coming out, not at this time, but for our next recording.
By the time this is posted, you should have visibility to it on our socials.
Absolutely. So definitely keep in touch. Again, like, subscribe, comment. You know, that helps out a small channel. Definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
That's where you're going to get early access to this.
For sure.
So, now, anything else you want to banter about before we start?
I don't have anything to add, no. You're the one with all the big announcements.
No, well, again, we have the new Limitless Broadcasting site coming out. That will be out in a couple of weeks. Sammy actually just redesigned our logo. So if you do follow us on Instagram, you have seen it already. So let us know what you think of it. Sammy designed that. That's going to be our new logo for the new website. The Pixie Dust Twins will have a new website coming out.
Yes.
And 1950 Studios will have a new studio website.
Awesome.
And we're going to be working on getting a Boogeyman podcast website up. But that's going to be down the line.
Cool.
So
awesome.
I think that's same code for Sammy telling me to wrap it up with the banter.
No. You can say whatever you want.
So, all right. So let's jump into the 2022 Scream.
Okay.
AKA the requel.
Yes. AKA the requel. So remember, it's always someone you know.
Yes.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. This movie, I'm not too excited to talk about, but it is what it is. So
I have a lot of comments for this movie. So
let's just jump into the summary.
Yes.
25 years after a streak of brutal murders shocked the quiet town of Woodsboro, a new killer dons the Ghostface mask and begins targeting a group of teenagers to resurrect secrets from the town's deadly past.
Dum, dum, dum.
Yeah. Okay. The film was released on January 14th, 2022, and that was 25 years and 25 days since the original film's release date.
So we have to say this is the first movie in the franchise that Wes Craven did not direct.
I was definitely going to mention that, but thank you.
So I wanted to start that off top.
Yes. Yeah, he was not around. As we said, the last movie was 4.
He passed away.
This movie was rated R. Genre again is horror, mystery, and thriller.
And thriller.
The previous
okay.
ones were rated, the genre was horror and comedy, so this is a little bit different.
Okay.
Director is Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillette? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
They're the directors.
Probably from Paramount.
Produced by William Sharake, James Vanderbilt, and Paul Neinstein.
Neinstein, I
I'm
believe.
really struggling with my life with these. It was written by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick.
Okay.
So no Kevin Williamson on
Kevin
this.
Williams. That's probably why I have so many comments about the movie.
He was listed somewhere as a producer,
okay.
but I don't think he was like super heavily involved.
Okay.
The movie debuted with $30 million at the box office. It actually ended up at $33.8 million. It was released over MLK weekend.
Okay.
Martin Luther King. So
okay.
It picked up a little bit extra money technically opening weekend because it had 4 days. It was the first film to actually dethrone Spider-Man No Way Home at the box office.
Really? Really?
Which Spider-Man came out in December. So
yeah.
Yeah. Its overall gross in the US was $81.6 million. And its budget was $24 million.
So again, it got back its budget.
It also had a lower budget than some of the previous.
What was production budget?
$24 million.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You would think it would have a higher production budget because it's the 6th installment in the franchise. 5th. Yes, we're not talking about Scream 6.
Not there yet.
That is coming out.
So it's distributed by Paramount Pictures, another change from the previous movies. This is because the big scandal
with
happened.
The Weinsteins and everything like that, and Miramax and everything like that.
So yeah, Paramount distributed this one. Its runtime is 1 hour and 54 minutes. Okay. And as far as reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, critics gave it a 76%, so they seem to like it. Audience gave it an 82%. Again,
really,
it's pretty high actually for Scream movies, and it's sitting at a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb.
Wow,
it has high ratings.
Wow,
and
do you agree with that?
I find that surprising.
I do find that surprising
because I would
myself.
not have done that.
I would not have done that either. Again, we'll get into this. We're just giving you killer facts right now.
Yes. It has some fun taglines, including the killer is on this poster, but like everybody is on the poster, so kind of makes sense if you looked at the posters. And don't see it alone. I thought that was a good tagline, even though I think the movie is not that great.
Let me ask you, for those of you who are going to watch this, how many horror movies do you go and see alone? Comment in the comment box below. Like, do you see horror movies alone?
That's a good question.
I know I have done that.
Yes.
I mean, I don't mind seeing a horror movie alone, but do you generally go see a horror movie by yourself?
I would not be on that list to go see it alone. Just saying.
Okay.
So, if you'll remember, the original Scream was filmed in California.
Right.
This movie was filmed actually in North Carolina.
Okay, why is that?
I don't know, but it was.
Probably they gave them more in taxes.
It's probably a tax break. Yeah, exactly. Filming took place across several avenues in Wilmington, including exterior shots of Williston Middle School and interior shots of Cardinal Lane Shipyard and 10th Street.
And 10th Street. You can't forget about 10th Street.
I don't know what was on 10th Street, but I mean, I know the bowling alley, I believe, was in Cardinal Lanes. I think that's where that was, like in that same area. There was also the Union Building. ILA Union Building was used as the Woodsboro police station for this movie. And the Wilmington River Walk is where Sydney was jogging with her kids. Yeah.
And then Dewey calls her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's where that was. All right. So we got a lot of new people in the cast and some old faces as well.
Some faces.
Neve Campbell was once again back as Sydney Prescott. She's now married. She has kids. It's a whole thing.
Yep.
Courtney Cox returned as Gail Weathers, no longer married to Dewey.
Deputy Dewey.
Mm-hmm. David Arquette, of course, is back as Dewey, no longer town sheriff, adding to his sadness.
Yep.
Divorced and no longer sheriff. Melissa Barrera was Sam Carpenter. So she was one of the main stars. She's the illegitimate daughter of
Billy
Loomis. Yes.
I always get Steve and him Confused.
Billy Loomis. There you
Billy
go.
Loomis.
We're gonna do trivia questions as we go in here because I could not find any good ones for the end. So
Okay.
we're gonna mix it up a little for this episode.
So Billy Loomis.
Yes. Melissa, nope, sorry. Jack Quaid. We're on the next one. Jack Quaid was Richie Kirsch, who is Sam's boyfriend.
Okay.
And also, spoiler alert.
He was actually he actually stars in The Boys on Amazon.
And he's the killer in this movie.
Yes, he's one of the killers.
Killer. Yes. Mikey Madison was Amber Freeman, who was Tara's best friend, and one of the killers. Yes. Also a killer.
Yes.
In this as well. Jenna Ortega played Tara Carpenter, who is Sam's teenage half-sister.
Yep.
Dylan Minette was Wes Hicks, who
Yep.
was sheriff in this movie. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sheriff Judy's teenage son.
And he was actually in 13 Reasons on Netflix.
And wasn't he in The Maze Runner, right?
And I believe for a small...
I think he was like a big part of The Maze Runner.
No, I think you're right, actually.
Yeah.
I thought for some reason, I thought it was a small part. But yeah, I think you're right. It was a bigger part.
If that's wrong, I'm sorry. But I think he was in The Maze Runner.
Right.
Jasmine Savoy Brown was Mindy Meeks Martin, who was Randy's teenage niece.
Okay.
Mason Gooding was her twin brother, Chad Meeks Martin. So obviously he was Randy's nephew. Makes sense. Sonia Amar was Liv McKenzie, who is Chad's girlfriend, and wrongly accused.
Yep.
Wrongly accused.
I
knew it wasn't her when I was watching. I was like, she didn't do it.
So you figured it out before the big reveal.
I was pretty sure it was Amber, but I wasn't sure who the accomplice was.
Okay.
For a while. But I was like, it's not. I felt like Liv was too obvious. And I was like, it's not her.
Okay.
Marley Shelton returns as Sheriff Judy Hicks, as I said. Skeet Ulrich. He is briefly in this as Billy Loomis as a hallucination.
Yes.
But he actually did film his parts.
He was
so
on
it
set,
wasn't
yes.
just like previous films. Magic
Right. He was there. He was there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when this movie was coming out, they wanted to keep that very top secret
That he was
as another spin to kind of give it a homage to the older
I
film.
guess. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Kyle Gallner was Vince Schneider, who is Stu's nephew. Chester Tam was Deputy Vincent. Reggie Conquest is Deputy Farney. Heather Matarazzo returns as Martha Meeks, who's Randy's sister. She's back again, obviously, because she's Chad and Mindy's mother.
Yep.
So she made a cameo back in this. Roger L. Jackson, once again, voice of Ghostface.
Yep.
And Christopher Speed is in the movie.
Within the movie,
Movie Stab as Randy. He plays Randy, but yeah. So that was a previously unseen clip that we hadn't seen in the previous movies for Stab.
Follow somebody on Instagram that is producing the Stab movies on YouTube. So they're actually releasing them.
Oh, that's funny.
So we'll definitely try to get them on the show or
that's pretty cool.
Check them out.
That's really cool. Filming. As we alluded to before, this is the first Scream movie to be shot digitally with ARRI Alexa mini cameras.
Alexa, okay.
Unlike the previous films, which were all shot on 35 millimeter film with the Panavision Panaflex cameras.
I'm sure they edited it to look like film, though.
Possibly, but I don't know. I guess it did kind of look.
Film has that gritty feel.
I don't know if this one really had that look, though.
It sucks you in. Did this movie suck you in?
No.
Mm-mm.
Principal photography was originally scheduled to begin in Wilmington, North Carolina in May 2020. I bet you know what happened. It was delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The vid.
Filming began actually on September 23rd, 2020, and it was under the working title Parkside.
Do you remember when this movie, they were promoting this movie, they released the trailer and then they were like, oh, it's going to be out this such and such date, and then COVID hit, and then everything got delayed. This movie,
hot mess.
Top Gun Maverick, so many other movies.
Wasn't Top Gun like 3 years?
Yes.
Delayed eventually?
Yes.
Oh, it's crazy.
But it's worth the wait. It's over $1 billion now.
Yeah, so it doesn't fit our genre, but did enjoy
Nostalgia.
Top Gun. Did enjoy Top Gun, the new one. All right, so got some killer facts for you. Total kills 8 in this one, so down a little bit.
Only 8 kills, really?
From some of the previous movies.
Okay.
So Vince Schneider was stabbed in the side of the neck by Amber with a knife and then bled out. Died.
Okay.
Sheriff Judy Hicks was stabbed very specifically 8 times by Amber in the stomach.
Why do you think 8 times?
I have no idea. Is there a meaning behind that? I have no idea.
I don't know. There has to be.
There could be. I don't know. I didn't count. I got this again, like Dead Meat Wiki and Wikipedia and
We'll have to check that out.
whatnot.
Why
Yeah,
8
I don't know.
times? That seems so specific.
Yeah. Deputy Keith had his throat slashed open by Amber with a knife off camera, but they found his body.
Okay.
Dewey.
Okay. I know.
Dewey was stabbed in the back and stomach by Amber with 2 knives, and he like got, I don't even know, like gutted and.
So now we're at Dewey. What do you think of the passing of Dewey?
It was a mistake.
Do you think they should have done it?
I have some trivia coming up about that specific death that from the cast members, but I don't think they should have killed him.
This is kind of like when they killed Randy.
Yes, and I think this is worse though.
Yes, because it
Honestly.
loses something. It
They should
loses
not have
something from
killed
the
him.
franchise.
Yeah.
That they're never gonna. It could be a multiverse like Marvel, but
Yeah.
how are they gonna put that genie back in the bottle?
They're not.
They're not. It lost something.
It's terrible. You shouldn't have done it.
No, I agree with you.
It just no. You could have done the still fake out like we've seen, because Wes loved to not make up his mind about what's going on with Dewey, but
Right.
I don't think he should have died.
I agree with
He
you.
should have made it through, but that is a true death. Liv was, I love these descriptions, blasted in the forehead by Amber with a handgun.
Blasted in the
I
forehead.
did actually enjoy that little reveal when they're like freaking out and blaming Liv, and she's like, "It's not me. I just found Chad, covered in blood." And then how Amber's just like, "I know." Boom. I was like,
Yes.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
But I knew it wasn't her sitting watching the scene. I'm like, okay, well, Amber's gonna reveal herself because she clearly did it, and she did it in a pretty cool way. Epic, I would say. I'll give them that. That was a good reveal.
Absolutely.
I liked that.
Yeah.
Richie was stabbed through both cheeks several times in the stomach and chest. His throat was slashed with Amber's knife, and then he was shot 3 times by Sam.
Jeez.
Bum, bum, bum.
Why to make sure somebody's dead? You really
You
go out.
gotta go after these people, though. They always come back, right?
They always do come back.
They always come back. Amber was shot repeatedly by Sydney and Gail, set on fire with an oven stove light. That was pretty epic too. The
what?
fire thing, I did like that.
At the end of it, I'm sure she's glad she died, because surviving that and having to heal from it, that would have sucked.
Oh my gosh. She had half of her head burned off, and then she was shot in the eye by Tara.
Jeez.
I like Tara's little I actually enjoyed the ending part, I guess, of this movie. I found the climax scene enjoyable. The rest of the movie, I don't think
They're at Stu's house.
Yeah, when they're at and everything's going down with Amber and Richie. I did actually enjoy the last part, the way they set it up. I think they did a good job with that. The rest of the movie I was not really thrilled with.
There was a couple parts like with Gail. She got like shot or stabbed in the chest.
Yeah.
She's hunched over like, oh, and then all of a sudden she's just fine.
That is annoying.
Bothered me. I was like, why
that is obnoxious.
Are you doing that?
When they do that, like, be consistent. Just either she's injured or she's not injured.
Exactly. The ambulance, she's like, I guess they patched her up off camera.
Yeah.
But it annoyed me.
Yeah. It was the same thing with Sam. Like, she got stabbed and she's just like walking around like it's fine. There's a bandage.
You're right.
Are you sure you didn't pierce an organ or something? There's a lot going on down there.
Now that I have a bandage, is cool.
Yeah. That annoyed me too. I'll give you that. And like all previous Scream films, Roger L. Jackson was actually on the phone with the characters as Ghostface.
I bet he loves doing that.
You say that every time we do this, and I think you're right every time you say it.
I think he would just, I mean, it's not like he's actually running around. He's just has to call, right?
Yeah.
So he has an easy part.
Yeah. A fun part.
A fun part too.
So Spyglass Media Group had to secure the rights from Fun World to use the original Ghostface mask for the film.
Okay.
I guess that makes sense. There's a lot of changing of hands for the movie.
That's why it took so long to actually, from the last movie till now, number one, Wes died.
11 years.
The original cast didn't want to do another one without Wes. So these two directors came to get Neve Campbell on board. And they knew if they can get her on board, everybody else would fall into place.
They'll be able to get everyone else. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Dylan's reaction to seeing Ghostface was genuine, as the filmmaker snuck the killer into a take where he wasn't expected to be. And then you add in that Dylan hadn't seen the Ghostface costume yet, and he was legitimately surprised in the moment.
Okay.
That's pretty clever.
That is pretty clever.
To get a good reaction. That's a good...
Yeah.
Dewey's first guess of Ghostface Killer to Sam in his trailer is the identity of Ghostface, much like Randy's guess in the original Scream being correct, because he says it's the boyfriend. He's right. Should have stuck with that, dude. Should have stuck with it. David Arquette filmed his death scene without a stunt double.
Really?
That was interesting.
Well, good for him.
And Jack Quaid was actually in the costume in the scene where Ghostface attacks Mindy. So on the couch.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually wearing it.
Right?
Yeah, Richie.
Yep. Okay.
He was actually wearing the costume. And I like facts like that because I'm sure that's
funny.
fun for them to be like, yes, let me wear the costume.
Yeah.
So as far as special effects, I only had one good one to really share for this movie, but I want to throw it in. A prosthetic neck was created for Dylan to film the scene where Ghostface stabs Wes through the neck, which makes sense.
Okay.
But I always think it's cool because I'm like, I don't see it when I'm watching the movie. Maybe some of you did, but I don't think of it. I don't see it. So
like
I think they did a good job.
You stab him this way, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we do have horror movie references. So thank you for that.
Thank you for going back.
At least we did that with the typical Scream movie.
Yes.
While Richie is watching a YouTube video about Stab 8, one of the thumbnail recommendations beside it is an interview with the Woodsboro survivor, Kirby Reed.
Really? I did not notice that.
That's how we know she's alive. This Easter egg confirms her survival, as her fate had been speculated ever since the fourth film was released.
I will definitely
That's how you know.
To go back and watch
That's
that.
how people knew that she survived. A YouTube video with the title, "Did the Real Life Stu Survive?" is glimpsed on a laptop screen, a reference to how often the idea of bringing back Matthew Lillard as Stu has been tested as a possibility. I thought that's funny. I think they should.
Because honestly, the TV following, I can understand like stunning him, but killing him, I feel like he could be another Ghostface killer that got away with it.
He and Angelina should team up.
That would be cool.
And I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but in an early draft of Scream 3, Stu was the killer. But,
really?
But Columbine and all that, remember, screwed up that script. So he didn't return. So he almost made it back.
I think they paid him for Scream
almost
2. When he signed on for Scream 1, they actually paid him already for Scream 2. That may be,
I don't know.
And then they went in a different direction.
That could be. I don't know. This is the first Scream film not directed by Wes Craven, as we said, because he had passed away from cancer. But they did name the character of Wes in honor of him. And the film is dedicated to him at the end of the credits.
Right.
At the very end of the film, the title card appears that reads, "For Wes," in memory of the original director. And there is a soundbite of birds chirping. This is due to the fact that in his free time, Wes Craven was an avid bird watcher and enthusiast.
I did not know that.
I did not know that. And I think it's so cool that they added the birds in for him too.
That's pretty cool.
That's a lovely tribute. I think that's really nice that they did that. The first two films feature flash cut shots of Ghostface acting menacing before the end credits. Here, there is a flash of Ghostface honorably wiping his blade with his head bowed, and this is thought to be in another respectful fashion to honor Wes Craven.
Okay.
So, let's give a bow to our former
colleague,
director, colleague, yes,
that's pretty
creator
cool.
of this entire thing. Yeah.
The reason why we're here today.
Exactly.
And talking about
to help
this.
make all this possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the original film, if you remember way back in 96, Sydney used an online 911 emergency system to call for help.
Yep.
The scene was meant to show her typing her address, 34 Elm Street, but it was cut because of time. It isn't until this film that an Elm Street sign in Woodsboro is actually seen. So now it's official.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so we can confirm that is where Sydney grew up was on Elm Street, which is obviously another nod to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep.
And Wes Craven.
I
thought that was fun, and I didn't realize it was not really official until
I didn't know that
all the way
either.
until this movie. But because you cut things for movie time and all that,
like that.
Mm-hmm. In an interview with Bloody Disgusting, co-directors Matt and Tyler revealed that both Matthew Lillard and Drew Barrymore returned for voice cameos.
Really? Okay.
Did you know that?
Did not know that either.
Did you know that?
I wonder which.
Matthew Lillard does the voice of Flamethrower Ghostface. This shit is lit, said Gillett, referring to the take on the villain in the trailer for the Stab 8 movie within a movie.
Okay.
So I feel like these would be hard to catch everything.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Lillard also spoke a line during the party scene, which is fitting because it takes place as the in the first film.
Right.
The same location. Yeah. And it's his home, right? It's Stu's home.
Right.
There's a line when Amber's walking through the party. There's a couple right before she turns into the kitchen, and Matthew Lillard's automated dialogue replacement is "Cool house, Freeman," which we thought was funny because it's his house.
Right.
So I think that's pretty clever.
Did you catch that?
No, this is stuff I did not realize. Like voice stuff, I feel like I was probably not paying enough attention.
Yeah, there's so
Just
much
watching,
going on
yeah.
in the movie.
For Barrymore, who obviously played Casey in the first movie, big deal, as we explained all of that.
For her 20-minute scene.
She is the voice of the principal who's making announcements at the beginning of the movie. And when the camera pans down from the tree to find our new cast at the picnic tables, you can hear her talking.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So
I have to go back and watch that.
Yeah,
I didn't
was like, that's pretty freaking cool. Yeah, I like that. The episode of Dawson's Creek that Tara's watching is season 1, episode 11, called The Scare. This episode is a loving homage to Friday the 13th, where the Cape Side gang are terrified that a serial killer is going to catch them. Joshua Jackson obviously starred in Dawson's Creek and also was in Scream 2.
Yep.
As film student, he didn't even have a character name, if we can remember.
Right. Wasn't that like one of his very
Yeah, it was
first
like one
movies?
of his first movies. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And as we talked about, Scott Foley was in Scream 3. He was the killer. So he had a big part in there. So there's your tie-ins. Yeah. And I know you had asked at the time about Scott Foley being in Dawson's Creek, and I guess this is a confirmation of that.
Yeah.
Because I said I didn't know because I'd never seen
Yeah, he was.
Dawson's Creek. Yeah. Sorry. Don't know. Everything on the YouTube page that appears in the film is an Easter egg, right down to the subscriber number. So the YouTube channel has the subscriber number set as 800,021,939, which is Wes Craven's birthday, August 2nd, 1939.
Wow, okay.
That's clever. I like when people do stuff like that.
It's really thought out when they do that.
Yeah, again, I wasn't a huge fan of this movie, but I like stuff like this, and I like specifically that they were trying to honor Wes Craven.
Right.
I give them all sorts of credit for doing that. I think that's great.
Mhm.
The character names in Judy's phones are Leroy from The People Under the Stairs, Nancy T, who is Heather Langenkamp's character in Elm Street, Tina G, who is Amanda Wiss's character in Elm Street, and B. Adams, which is Brandon Adams, who played Fool in The People Under the Stairs.
Okay.
So there's some other references I would have never in a million years.
I think Wes Craven did all those movies.
I'm not sure about The People Under the Stairs. I want to say yes.
Yes.
But I would have never picked up on any of this if I
Have
didn't read it.
Have I ever made you watch People Under the Stairs?
No, I have not seen that one.
It's a different kind of movie.
Well, it's going to be on the Wes Craven list, I'm sure.
I'm sure it will be.
So, yeah. The new ensemble cast of characters' connections to the legacy characters are as follows, just to make sure we're clear on this. Samantha Carpenter is the daughter of Billy Loomis.
Right.
Wes is the son of Judy Hicks.
Yeah.
Well, Sheriff Judy Hicks now. Chad and Mindy, as we said, are the nephew and niece of the late Randy Meeks.
Yeah.
Vince Schneider is the nephew of Stu.
Okay.
And Amber lives in Stu's house. Well, his former house.
Okay.
The only Woodsboro High School teenager who does not have any connection to an on-screen legacy character is Liv. But her surname is Mackenzie. She's Liv Mackenzie, which seems to be a reference back to Casey Becker's Unseen Neighbors. Because if you remember right, they were going to go to the Mackenzies to call for help.
Yes.
Which is also a reference to Halloween. So there's like all sorts of references going on in this.
How would you like to be that one person that doesn't have any connection I mean, I'm glad I'm
Mhm.
sure she's excited just to be in the movie.
Yeah.
But like,
You're not related
you
or
don't
in the house.
you
or,
have no connection.
yeah,
That
I
would
get
suck.
it. But she died, so it really
Yeah.
did suck for her, I guess.
It really did.
Amber goes to the basement alone despite knowing that a killer is on the loose, much like Stu in the first Scream. She has no reason to worry because she's one of the killers.
Mhm.
Later, Richie says, I'll be right back before he goes into the basement to get a beer. And again, he's one of the killers and he doesn't have anything to worry about. So
Right.
there's kind of keys right there. And later he comes back and tries to kill Mindy, much in the same way that Randy was almost killed in the first film. It's literally like the same scene.
Like with them
Where she's talking to the television, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's like
yep,
the same freaking scene. And Amber, like Stu in the first movie, tries to fake being injured to Sydney and Gail, but Sydney's like, no, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I feel like that also actually ties into the last movie too, because Jill was doing the same kind of shit,
Mhm.
you know, like
Mhm.
oh, they injured me, I'm not really the killer, you know. Like Sydney's done with this.
Right. She's over this.
Sydney's done. She knows. She sees through all of this at this point.
Everybody's bullshit. She sees through it.
So we talked about some of the voiceover actors. There were actually more involved
Really?
in the party scene. Yeah. So as we mentioned, Matthew, who played Stu, Drew Barrymore, who is Casey, Jamie Kennedy actually makes a voice cameo of Randy, who played Randy, Hayden Pantier, Kirby.
She actually did. Really? Okay.
Henry Winkler, who was the principal way back in the first one, and Adam Brody, who was one of our cops in the last one, provide voiceovers for partygoers and participate in a toast for Wes, which doubled as a tribute to Wes Craven.
Really? Okay.
They also, the directors are speaking in that voiceover scene as well. They have a cameo voiceover. Craven's widow, Aya LaBunca. I'm not sure if I said that right.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Previous screenwriter Kevin Williamson, previous composer Marco Beltrami, and previous editor Patrick Lucier, previous co-producer Julie Pleck, and filmmaker Ryan Johnson, all are speaking. It's like, I could never hear any of this.
I could never hear. I didn't even know that they were all in it.
So a lot of people actually had voice cameos in the party, and it's specifically around the toast scene.
I did not know that.
And I thought that was really nice for Wes.
We're gonna have to go back and rewatch that and
just this scene and try and really listen.
Yeah.
And see, and the principal because of Drew Barrymore and yeah.
So it's funny because they're all still getting paid off of this franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, especially Drew Barrymore. I mean, everybody that I think Kirby is iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to her in a bit, but I think Drew Barrymore is still eating off this movie.
Big deal.
I mean, Nev Campbell, of course she is. We'll talk about Nev Campbell here in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool. I did not know. I didn't even know that the toast scene was that big.
Yeah, you have to look at it as an honor to Wes Craven, which is cool.
It makes me kind of reevaluate the movie a little bit.
I still don't really.
I don't particularly enjoy this movie.
No, but I enjoy this sort of bits from the movie.
Now that we're at the end, we'll rank ours.
We are
at the
getting
end
there.
of this.
Yes.
At the end of the episode.
A new sequence of the Robert Rodriguez directed stab movie within a movie appears in the film with Randy, who's giving the rules to survive a horror movie monologue. This scene is watched at Wes's memorial party by his niece, Mindy, as we said, and then she's attacked by Ghostface, just like the original film. So, yeah, as we said, that's the scene that she's watching. Following Tara's attack, her friend group comes together on the school campus to discuss the situation, and the scene mirrors the original Scream, where Sydney, Billy, Tatum, Stu, and Randy are all together and discussing Casey and Steve's murders from the night before. Tatum and Stu were seen eating a bag of green grapes during the sequence, and as a tribute, Wes and Amber are seen sharing the same.
Okay,
those are little details too that.
Man, so much stuff happened in this, and I just was like,
didn't realize.
Really?
Yeah, I like this kind of stuff, but. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds song The Red Right Hand, which had prominently been featured in the first 3 Scream films, returns to this franchise after it was not played in Scream 4. It's heard when Ghostface turns on Vince's car before killing him.
Okay.
So there's another homage for you. The film ends the same way as the first one ends, with the news report of the previous night's events as the survivors are taken to the hospital.
Yes, it did.
But they kind of did that in Scream 4 too, because they had the news reporters and stuff, but they didn't know what really happened.
Make it as big as it was, but yes.
And also it was Jill and Sam Carpenter being the biological daughter of Billy Loomis. Okay, so if she changed her last name to her birth father's, then her name would be Sam Loomis.
Okay.
Which would then be the same name as Sam Loomis from Psycho and Dr. Samuel Loomis from Halloween.
Yep.
So many tie-ins. And did I mention already the Carpenter thing? John Carpenter. Yeah. So all these names. Yeah. Just tying in together. Just before Vince is killed outside of the club, Ghostface baits him by turning on the high beam headlights of his car and blaring loud music from the radio. Since the Scream franchise loves to pay homage to the horror genre, this could possibly be seen as a nod to the 1983 horror film John Carpenter's Christine, which is adapted from a Stephen King novel. So Christine is a haunted car that kills people.
Really? I've never seen it. So.
Oh, you've never heard of this?
Nope.
Yeah, that kind of freaks me out. It's probably like
car.
a Tesla or something one of these days.
Okay.
It's gonna I don't know, just lose its mind, or I don't know. Anyway, so in both the novel and the film, when Christine runs over and kills, spoiler, Moochie Welch, one of the characters in the film, she pins him with her high beam headlights and blares music from the radio.
Okay.
So that's the idea, that maybe it's sort of a tie into that, which I could see them doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
Potentially. All right, so we got some general trivia for you now about the movie. The first Scream movie in which the victim not only survives the opening, but the entire movie.
You're right.
Tara never dies. Yeah.
She never did die.
This is the first time that happened. So a little bit of a twist in this movie.
Yeah.
The first Scream film not to feature an opening murder.
I was going to say, I couldn't.
Actually at all. Yeah.
I was trying to think who was the opening murder, but I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They didn't have one.
Yes, because she was alone. So nobody dies in the first scene. And traditionally, the opening scene actually had 2 victims. So that's an even bigger deal, because nobody dies in the first scene at all. Let's see. The fact that Dewey never mentioned his sister Tatum or her death was often criticized in the prior sequels. It kind of made it seem like she'd been forgotten. But in this film, you can actually see that Dewey has her ashes on his mantle. So that's a little tribute back to Tatum.
If you really put yourself in his position, he doesn't want to think about that.
He's not going to talk about it with everybody.
It's very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
His sister got murdered. He doesn't want to keep going, he just wants to remember the good times with her.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But it was nice that they included this. David Arquette is a certified Bob Ross painting instructor.
Really?
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He actually taught several of the cast members how to paint like the legendary artists during their film breaks.
That's cool.
I was just like, what an interesting fact.
You know, he was a pro wrestler, right?
What in the world?
He was in WWF.
I did not know that.
He was on, he had a big movie and everything.
Wow.
But he actually joined WWF for a while.
All right, David Arquette. He's just full of surprises.
Yeah.
Apparently. Neve Campbell was initially hesitant to return to the franchise, especially in a new Scream film that didn't have Wes Craven as a director.
Yep.
As you're talking about, obviously. She really would have liked to get his blessing, basically, to start this new
endeavor
film.
Things like that.
New page in the Scream franchise. But what changed her mind was that she received a letter from Matt and Tyler, the directors, where they talked about how much Wes Craven and his films meant to them as filmmakers. So that's ultimately why she decided to do the project. I think you had kind of hinted to that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really nice. That's how they reached out. And
do you think they'll continue doing that in the later films? Because now that they're actually going, they're not going to stop with just the requel. I think there will be a whole new franchise.
I think that was the idea of this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dewey watches Gail as the anchor for Good Morning America. Before he turns the TV off, Gail signs off making a joke about how she hopes to never have bangs again. And if she tries, someone should stop her. This is obviously a reference to Gail's hairstyle in Scream 3, which has become a giant meme and is just She's constantly made fun of for it. They were terrible though.
Well, that was the style. That was the year.
I don't think it
mean,
was the style. I think they were just terrible.
So you think they were just doing a prank on her?
I believe David had recommended she cut her hair that way, but I don't think he did it maliciously.
Whoops.
But it did not look good.
You know, one thing I've always liked, Courtney Cox and David Arquette. I'm glad that they can still be friends.
Mm-hmm. I
So,
agree. Yeah.
Even though they got to, I know they have a kid together.
Yes.
So they
Mhm.
co-parent. So it's good that they
Yeah.
can still have a professional relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And we can still get, well, I guess not. I hope there's a way to bring Dewey back
I don't think
in
there is at
later
this point.
season.
I don't think there's any way to
installments
bring
of
him
this
back from the dead.
franchise.
No. All right. So there's a framed photo of David Arquette and Courtney Cox sitting in his little sad house.
He's very
And that's-
sad in this one.
Yeah, but that's a real photo. of
Oh, I
them
didn't know
as
that.
a couple.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he is very sad in this movie. I feel bad for him.
You know he's remarried, right? Like he is remarried. He has a couple new kids.
Well, not like real life David Arquette. Like I feel bad for Dewey.
Yeah, I'm talking about real life David Arquette.
Oh, okay.
Like he's
yeah.
married, has a new wife, new kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's moved on too, so
Right.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't expect them not to.
I mean, don't you think that'd be weird though?
What?
Like being friends with your ex-wife, and now that she has a new husband and everything.
I don't know. Ask Bonnie.
Well, that's different.
Is it though?
All right, moving on.
Nev Campbell didn't realize until after the fact that Sidney Prescott's husband in Scream 2022 was an Easter egg. While speaking with Screen Rant about her role in the film, Campbell was asked about the Mark Kincaid Easter egg. She revealed that someone just told me that yesterday, and she didn't realize it when I was saying it. So I don't know if you picked up on it, but she married Mark Kincaid, the police officer.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't pick up on that?
Well, I'm just saying this for those who didn't
Yeah.
realize that that's who she was referring to. But she didn't realize it, and she filmed a stupid movie, so can't really be judgy about that.
Oh man.
I feel like you're being kind of judgy.
I'm
and
not.
It's not fair.
But
'cause
that's who
Sidney Prescott
Sidney
didn't know.
Prescott married.
Mm-hmm.
The cop from Scream 3.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Jenny Ortega said that the cast watched the first Scream movie on Halloween night in 2020. They viewed it on a projector and ate popcorn.
That's kind of cool.
I was like, oh, that's cute. Cute. Dimension Films lost the rights to the Scream franchise that they had had since the first movie in 1996. Lantern Entertainment and Spyglass Media Group bought the rights to some Dimension franchises, including Scream, Scary Movie, and Children of the Corn Runaway. What?
Ooh, maybe those are gonna come back.
Yeah, I don't know, but I thought it was an interesting
I wonder
mix.
why they lost the rights.
Well, I think that was the whole Weinstein debacle. and-
I can see
yeah,
that.
as we were saying at the beginning, I think that's where all this stemmed from.
Okay.
Whew. Jack Quaid took to the character early on, so he's Richie, remember,
Mhm,
the boyfriend, and even visited Scream movie forums under the name Stabhead to comment on them as if he was Richie. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's pretty funny.
He's just out there trolling the internet. It just made me laugh that he took the time to do that.
That is that to get in the character, to get in the head
No,
of it,
it's a
that's
good
pretty
idea. Sydney's line in the film, "I'm Sidney fucking Prescott. Of course I have a gun," was Nev Campbell's idea to
That's
include
pretty
in the
funny.
movie. I thought that was clever that she did that. The appearance of Billy Loomis was a mixture of visual effects and live action performed by the original actor, as we said, Skeet. He came
Yeah.
back. Due to COVID-19, he initially wasn't available. So Sam, Melissa, who played Sam,
Right.
first acted out her scenes while a stand-in did all of his lines. At the end of shooting, Skeet came back to the set to shoot his part, with Barrera doing her scenes again for him to react to.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. I liked it.
Mhm.
I liked
So
hearing that.
yeah, but as we said, he was really on set, and I believe, I don't think I have anything in here, but I think I read somewhere too that they didn't even have to really do actually a lot of visual. I mean, they had to make him look like a ghost or a
Right.
vision,
A
but
vision.
as far as like his looks, they
Yeah.
didn't really have to age him down too much because he basically looks the same.
Yeah.
He's ageless. He's one of those people,
Right.
one of those actors that did not really change in all this time. So I
Well,
thought that
that's
was
good.
kind of funny too, that they didn't really need to do much as far as his looks go. Nev Campbell, while in an interview with Variety, addresses the fact that she's not sure it was the right choice to kill off Dewey. And Courtney
Really?
Cox even suggested to the directors to shoot it both ways so they had options in regards to keeping him around or not, much like Wes Craven did with the character in Scream and Scream 2. Because as we said, Wes couldn't make up his mind about Dewey either, but ultimately kept him around.
They should have done that.
Campbell said, I was devastated. I still have trouble wrapping my head around it. I still question whether it was the right choice because from what I'm hearing, there are a lot of fans who are really upset.
Yeah. She
did reveal that herself, Arquette, and Cox had all talked about his demise beforehand. And that's when she brought up Cox's suggestion where, shoot it both ways.
It broke my heart.
Campbell said, we were all sad about it. Courtney had tried to tell the directors to shoot it both ways to give themselves the option because that's what Wes would do sometimes when there are certain characters that were so beloved.
Right.
So sad.
They should have let him. If you guys agree with us, do you think Dewey should have died? Or do you think they should have shot it both ways?
And had the option to not kill him and then not kill him.
Our opinion is Dewey should not have died.
I do not think he should have.
Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. It's sad. This is the first Scream film where neither of the killers has a personal motive against Sidney.
Yep,
which is true. While they marketed the original Scream, as we know, Drew Barrymore was shown front and center on the posters, which made everybody think that she was the main character of the movie.
Yep.
But she was the first kill in the movie.
That's Wes.
Well, second kill, actually, because Steve died first, right? Yeah. They gutted Steve. No, they gutted Steve and then they got her out of the house. Yeah. But she died super early in the movie. In this film, Jenny Ortega's character, who's Jenna. I think I said Jenny. Jenna Ortega's character is marketed in the opposite manner. She's not in the front of the poster. Her name isn't even shown on posters. And she's only in one scene in the trailer, which kind of mimics Drew Barrymore's in the original, which makes you think as the audience going into it that she's the first one to be killed off.
No, she survives.
But she in fact survives the opening and is one of the main characters.
That's awesome.
So I thought that was funny.
Tricky filmmakers.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny too.
Playing with our emotions.
And let me look in case I missed it, because I thought I had something about when David Arquette filmed his final scene, but I'm not seeing it in here. So basically what I had read when David Arquette went in, like he basically was just like, he went in, he did the scene, he packed up his stuff and he left.
Really?
Yeah, like he just had to kind of come at peace with it, accept that this is the way it was with this character.
Wow.
And do it.
Wow, that would break my heart.
I can't imagine.
As the actor putting so much time into this character.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have done that.
I feel so bad for him.
So let me ask you the big question. Do you think Wes Craven would have been happy with this film?
I think parts of it for sure.
Right.
But
I think overall he would have been disappointed.
I didn't like the Loomis thing. Where Sam is the illegitimate daughter, like that whole thing. I didn't really care for that. I thought it was not my favorite.
I understand why they did it, but it wasn't. This movie didn't have the feelings behind a Scream movie. It felt very disconnected.
I didn't like that part. And so Amber lives in Stu's house.
Right.
Which, first of all, people are still living in his house. What the? Okay. But
I guess you can just buy it, right?
Apparently. But I can kind of understand because people are weird as fuck.
Right.
I can see her as a character figuring out as she's growing up where she grew up, looking into what happened, because there's plenty of information in the fictional world about the murders and what went down. And then her being crazy, deciding I want to be a legend like this. I want to be part of this history.
Right.
I literally live in the guy's house. Let's recreate it. Let's do something. I can follow her as a character and her storyline. And I'm like, I get it. I can totally get behind that. The whole, like I said, the Sam thing, I with her being crazy and she's seeing
her dad that
But-
she's never met.
exactly. I'm like, you clearly never met him because he's been dead for a long freaking time.
Right.
And portraying her as crazy and seeing him, I'm just like, I just wasn't here for that part of it.
Right.
I didn't really buy into that. I feel like I wish there would have been another reason to tie her and her sister in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as being targets.
Right.
Like whether it was they lived in Sydney's old house or, you know, something
Mhm.
stupid like that, because you don't really need a big reason,
Right.
because these people are crazy.
Right.
They're gonna do what they want to do.
Welcome to America. People are crazy.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And I think the boyfriend, you know, it's a trope, but it kind of makes sense.
Right,
You know, he
no.
pretended to be her boyfriend and get to know her and
Right.
you know, whatever. I kind
No,
of
I
get that.
understand that.
But
So
Hmm.
overall, I mean, I'll watch this movie. I get some enjoyment out of it,
Mhm.
but it's not my favorite one.
Yeah.
I think they tried,
Mhm.
but I think they had a lot of missed opportunities.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And now that they're trying to pass off the franchise from Sydney to the new
Yes.
sisters.
Mhm.
I do not like that. I do not like the fact that they're just got done shooting Scream 6.
Mhm.
And Sydney, Nev Campbell, is not going to be in it
Over a pay dispute.
over a pay dispute.
Not we didn't have anywhere to put you in the script. We didn't think you fit the storyline. It was a pay dispute. And that's some bullshit because she's the face of the franchise.
Absolutely. She made the
Right
franchise
next,
as it is.
right next to this motherfucker, to Ghostface. She is the face of the franchise.
And I'm glad she kind of stuck to her guns because Tom Cruise is not taking less money.
Yeah.
So she should have
Hmm.
stuck to her guns and was out.
I agree.
But I don't understand how you can have another Scream movie
With no
without-
Sydney.
without Sydney.
And granted, Gail will be back.
And
And
the
no Courtney
only-
Cox was in it.
The two redeeming factors that Scream 6 can have is Gail's going to be in it and Kirby's coming back.
Hmm.
So those are two
So we'll see it.
redeemable factors. Of
Honestly,
course,
we're
see
gonna
it.
see it. But
We're Scream fans,
Mhm.
obviously. So where's your list? Where do you rank everything?
So honestly, are we doing like best to worst?
Yeah,
Okay.
best to
Okay,
worst.
so I would probably say Scream 1 is my favorite.
Okay.
Then I would probably honestly, I like Scream 4.
Okay.
Then I would go Scream 2. Then I think this was the hard part for me, was the last two movies. I think I would honestly put this one, Scream 5, next and put Scream 3 at the bottom. Only because I do like the ending of this movie. And I really don't have a redeeming factor for Scream 3. I liked like I said, I like the kills. I like the way they put it together, the ending, even though I don't like the weird Billy ghost thing.
Right.
I don't like any of that. But I like the fire and like I said, the way Amber just shot Liv in the head.
Right.
I liked the way that
redeemable
tied
qualities.
in. Yes. And I like the things that they put in that honored Wes.
Right.
So that's why this one's gonna squeak out Scream 3, and I'm gonna put Scream 3 at the bottom.
I would rate the exact same way.
Really?
Really?
I did not think that we would have
Really?
a matching list. I really didn't. I assumed you'd be like Scream 1, Scream 2, and then Scream 4. And
Nope.
wow.
I like
Okay. We
Scream
didn't talk
1,
about this ahead of time. So
Scream 4 is the
Mhm.
next. I like the way Scream 4 was written. Scream 4 is one of those screams that can stand on its own.
yes.
You don't
Mhm.
really need to know the backstory.
No.
You can do, I mean, the writing was it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the
I liked
last
it.
movie that Les
Wes-
was actually
yeah,
the
Wes
director
was
of
part
it.
mhm.
I mean, yeah, it was a better movie.
Mhm.
And I can understand Scream 3 was just so confusing. I
It was
like,
and
I
then,
mean, if they
Ugh.
didn't cut it for time, they could have done so much more.
and
like,
the rewrites
and the
all of
rewrites
that.
and everything. If they would have done the original thing, like the copycat killer, and
Yeah.
ran with that,
Or brought Stu back as
or
the original
exactly.
killer. I mean, he's still gonna be like a copycat thing, but having Stu as part of it as the main killer,
Mhm.
that would have been such a great surprise.
Absolutely.
Because could you imagine they could have even like not even really had him in the movie and then just boom at the end.
Yeah.
Stu.
Yep.
What?
He
What?
could have been back for the one last kill,
like a
and
fucked
then-
up face or
Exactly.
something from the
Exactly.
TV.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we did not talk about this.
No, I
Nope.
really didn't think our list would
But yeah,
match.
we match.
Yeah,
So.
it was hard though, like I said. But when it comes down to it, I would watch this one, this requel, just for I mean, like I would skip big chunks of it because when we rewatched it, I was kind of like on my phone.
Right.
Like the hospital scene, I was just like,
when
nothing's gonna happen until Dewey gets killed.
Like when you're in the hospital and nobody's there, like it's an abandoned hospital.
That drives
It's
me
like
nuts.
Michael Myers, right?
Oh,
Like
we're gonna talk about that with
It's
Michael
like
Myers
the second
too.
one when nobody was in the hospital.
The fuck is that?
I'm just
That's
like,
not a thing.
That's not a thing.
Trust me.
We've been to the hospital.
We've
enough.
done this, yeah, and they don't even leave you the fuck alone. There's nurses in there.
You're hooked up to
knock, knock, knock.
to
Hey,
things. If you get up,
I'm
they're
here
gonna
to
know.
Check your blood pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to draw some blood. How
They're
are
gonna
you
know.
doing? Are you doing okay? Like, yeah, I was asleep. Now I'm not okay. Thank you.
I was in the hospital before, and even if I put my foot
Oh,
off
at the
on
Mayo
the
Clinic.
floor,
Yes.
an alarm would go off, and they would think I fell out of my bed.
They're serious at the
and,
Mayo Clinic.
and they would rush in there, like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I was just getting up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not a thing in hospitals.
Oh,
But
it
in
drives
ho-
me
But
nuts.
in horror movies, that's a thing, and it drives me
Oh,
nuts.
it really annoys me. And I know that Ghostface and Michael Myers killed people who were there, but there was like 2 people.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, that's not a thing. There's multiple especially like, okay, Michael Myers, when we get there, was like, 70s, 80s. Maybe you could get away with saying like the safety precautions and stuff weren't as much. This movie, this one is current times.
Yes.
That is not realistic.
That is not realistic.
That
at all.
girl was on that floor like by herself.
Right.
And where were the other patients? She's just out
Obviously in the
fucking around and no one else is here.
Obviously in the other wing of the hospital.
Drove me nuts. I did
So.
not like that either. So that entire scene gets on my nerves, A, because of that.
Yes.
B, because of the whole Dewey thing.
Yes.
So I could skip all that. Like really, I could just skip this movie until the end and just
Yeah.
watch all the deaths and then
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe the party scene. Yeah.
I do like the party scene. I'll have to go back and rewatch
because
it
of all the West
from
things.
all the West
Mhm.
things and all the
Yeah.
cameos and
Mhm.
voiceovers. I didn't know about this, so
Yeah.
it gives me something
Pretty cool.
something new to
Mhm.
look at the movie for
Yeah.
and say, okay, let's watch it.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can hear Drew Barrymore,
Mhm.
all that stuff. So yeah.
So I did have some quotes that we didn't get to quite yet. Not too many because again, I wasn't really into the movie. So
Right.
Amber, when talking to Sam, says, "It wouldn't work with just you, Sam." And then she turns to Sydney. "See, we had to bring the legacy characters back to make it matter. Can't have a bona fide Halloween without Jamie Lee." I'm like, yeah,
That's
she
true.
has a good point
That
when
makes
she's
sense.
when she's presenting all of that. Then Sydney, when she's on the phone talking to Ghostface, she says, "You might actually be the most derivative one of all. I mean, Christ, the same house." And then she shoots the door because remember, Sydney came in hot when she was coming into Stu's house. Like she was not here for it.
Right.
Ghostface replies, "Maybe so, but you forgot the first rule of surviving a stab movie. Never answer the." Then Sydney cuts Ghostface off. "I'm bored." Ghostface, of course, is yelling, "Wait!" And Sydney ends the call. I do like that. I like how the movies progress with Sydney with this like badassness.
Right.
Like in the first movie, she does mock Ghostface pretty early on, but
right.
I like how this continues and she's just like, I
I don't have time for this.
No, fuck all this noise.
This has happened way too many times. I've been
I'm
afraid
not doing
of this. Fuck all this noise.
And she literally goes through that whole house just shooting everywhere,
Yep.
trying to make sure. And then Tara, who's actually, she was locked up like in the closet, right? And then her
Mhm.
sister rescued her, but nobody knew that she had gotten rescued. So badly burned and disfigured Amber pops up from the kitchen screaming, and she's charging at Sydney and Gail and Sam with a knife. And then out of nowhere, Tara comes out, shoots
Yes. Yeah.
shoots Amber in the head, and then says, "I still prefer the Babadook." From calling back to the beginning of the movie when she's talking about what scary movies she prefers. And she likes the Babadook because it's more thought-provoking, clever. I can't remember all the reasons she lists. But
Man, some of this, like, I didn't get that either. Like,
Yeah.
I,
yeah,
That's
that's a
something
callback
new.
to the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's why she says, "I still prefer the Babadook."
yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things we'll have to go back and rewatch and listen to. And,
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I think this would sneak past Scream 3.
Yeah.
Even though I like Cotton Weary's character in Scream 3.
Yeah, I like the characters in it. I mean, and like I said, Scott Foley is awesome. It's not his fault.
Right.
He did a good job with what he had for the character. I just didn't care for the storyline.
The actors can only do so much.
Exactly. I just didn't like the story, the plot, and then they had the whole like no blood, and I mean, it wasn't entirely like the writing and
right.
It just had a lot of things go wrong. I think.
This is why the studio should let production companies be production companies.
Yeah.
But when they're fun, studios are like giant banks.
Mm-hmm.
They basically loan you the money to shoot this.
Yep.
And then that's what they want, specific things.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, yep.
So, as usual, check out hellosydney.com. That's lots of fun Scream things on there. That's where I got some of my information for today. IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, Wikipedia, you name it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for checking out this episode.
This is
the last Scream, Scream 5, the requel.
Until the next one.
Let us know in the comments what you think about Dewey. Yes. Your list of
how you rank them.
Best to worst Scream movies in the trilogy, in the franchise. And definitely follow us on Instagram at Boogeyman Podcast.
At Boogeyman Pod.
At Boogeyman Pod, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Robert 1950 Studios.
The Sammi and Robby.
And then Limitless Broadcasting. And be on the lookout for our call-in number.
Yeah, it should be available now. So.
We would love, love to communicate with you guys, and thank you for listening, and we love doing this. So,
and we will be back with our next episode for Halloween, the first one. 1978.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You Can't Kill the Boogeyman podcast is produced and hosted by Robby and Sammi Brooksby as part of the Limitless Broadcasting Podcast Network. Post-production and intro by Sammi Brooksby. Follow the show on Instagram at BoogeymanPod. You can also follow the Limitless Broadcasting Company at Limitless Broadcasting and your horror hosts at Robert 1950 Studios and at The Samalam. We also have a TikTok at 1950 Studios. Email your creepy comments and spooky suggestions to us at boogeymanpod@gmail.com. Don't forget, everyone is entitled to one good scare. Have a horrific week.